News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
KVNU News Time is 4:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Northern Steel Building. A 24-year-old Logan man is headed to prison for trying to meet up for sex with an undercover police officer posing as a teenage girl. Aries Homan apologized as a judge told him that he could spend the rest of his life in prison if he didn't change. Homan was sentenced Monday morning in First District Court. He previously accepted a plea deal, pleading guilty to attempted rape and sodomy on a child, both first-degree felonies, 2 counts of enticing a minor by internet or text, and 2 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor, all second-degree felonies. Homan was arrested last October after messaging a Logan City police officer who was posing as a 13-year-old girl online. He sent multiple messages that were sexual in nature and arranged to meet where police were waiting to take him into custody. When law enforcement questioned Homan, he admitted to being attracted to minors and viewing child pornography. He also had condoms in his possession. During Monday's sentencing, Homan apologized and expressed remorse for what he did. Judge Spencer Walsh said Homan's attitude showed that he needed significant help. He said every time that he viewed child pornography, he re-victimized the child who was sexually abused. Homan was sentenced to serve 4 years to life in prison. It will be up to the Utah Board of Pardons and Parole to determine when he is released. KVNU News Time is 4:06. KVNU weather for tonight. We do have a wind chill warning in effect, 10 o'clock tonight till 10 o'clock Wednesday morning. The overnight low tonight, 0 to 5 above, but it could feel like -10. There is a chance of snow this evening, and then partly sunny on Wednesday, high in the lower 20s. Very cold Wednesday night, Thursday morning. The air temperature down around 10 below 0. It's been to 29. Right now it's 25 at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by the Duct Hunter, reminding you to change your furnace filter every 3 months. Your furnace will run more efficiently. To clean your ducts, call 770-4813.
In the beginning of time, in a land far away, hid a material in the earth so versatile that once discovered could give way to a century of innovation. From primitive weapons to railroads to buildings that scrape the skies.
What is it? Steel. And without it, our world would look much different. Nothing is stronger or more versatile than steel. And if you want a building that'll stand the test of time, call Northern Steel Buildings at 435-677-7300 or visit northernsteelbuilding.com. That's northernsteelbuilding.com.
KVNU News Time is 4:08. Most people living with disabilities are eligible to open state-based savings accounts known as ABLE accounts. They are part of the Achieving a Better Life Experience Act passed by Congress in 2014. They allow people who become disabled prior to age 26 to save money without jeopardizing any public benefits they receive, from supplemental security income to food assistance. And a new provision passed in December will raise the age threshold from 26 to 46, although not until 2026. Coordinator of the ABLE Utah program, Jolene Weiler, says this means a lot more people will be eligible to open ABLE accounts.
There are some estimates saying that it could open it up to 6 million more people nationwide, including up to 1 million more veterans that may be eligible for ABLE accounts.
Weiler says people receiving federal benefits generally have a $2,000 limit on personal savings, but money in an ABLE account doesn't count toward that limit. However, she explains the money has to be used for qualified disability-related expenses that will help to maintain or improve a person's health, independence, or quality of life. And the 14-year-old suspect wanted in connection to a deadly Salt Lake City shooting over the last weekend has been taken into custody. Police said the juvenile suspect was taken into custody Monday without incident. The boy was wanted after being accused of shooting and killing a 17-year-old in the area of 1601 West Ivy Circle on Saturday night. An investigation into the shooting began after officers responded to the scene and found the 17-year-old with a critical gunshot wound. The boy was taken to the hospital where he later died. KBNU News Time is 4:10. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
Local talk. Afternoons at 4 with For the People.
Lots of closeouts and store-wide specials as you and I gets ready for new arrivals coming from the furniture market. Dining room sets, sectional sofa and loves, and chairs. If you're not happy with the chair you're watching TV in, come pick out a recliner for you and I's big selection. And if you need a new bed, their favorite new mattress is a Therapeutic with copper-infused memory foam. You can tell by just placing your head on that bed how comfortable and cool it is to sleep on. Shop You and I's sale now. Get the low sale price and lay it away until your tax refund shows up. Always a better buy. You and I Furniture, downtown Logan.
I think I can. Do you feel like you're chugging up the inflation mountain? This is Zach with HSA Depot, and we can help. Did you know that you can save as much as 30% by using your pre-tax income to buy qualifying medical supplies? Health savings accounts can be used for more than just doctor visits and prescriptions. HSA Depot helps you conquer your inflation mountain and your health care by providing eligible products. Come to HSA Depot next to Sally Beauty and see how much you can save. HSA Depot, 5-star review.
When it comes to home care, it's important to know you have a choice. If you or a loved one is in need of hospice or home health services, remember that Primrose Home Care and Hospice believes in treating the patient as well as the problem. We work directly with you and your doctor to create a health plan that's catered to your needs. Our team is devoted to providing options in the freedom and safety of your own home. Visit us at primrosecare.com or call to schedule a free consultation. Primrose Home Care and Hospice, your local hospice and home health provider since 2006.
Hi, I'm Dr. Shelley Flace with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. Parents make all kinds of choices about their child's health. One important way you can protect your child's health is with vaccines. Viruses and bacteria are unpredictable, and even healthy children can develop severe complications.
I'm all done.
By vaccinating, you can feel good that you're doing everything you can to protect your child from harmful diseases. If you have questions about your child's vaccines, talk with your pediatrician and visit healthychildren.org.
There's a place to share the joy of your team winning it all, and a place to share a laugh about skiing and taking a fall. There's a place to share photos of pets, or singing in the choir, or the time you ate a pepper and your mouth was on fire. But we could all be better at sharing how we're feeling inside. 76% of employees have struggled with at least one issue that affected their mental health. When you share, you're not alone. Ask about your company's emotional health benefits. Visit heart.org/sharing. Brought to you by the American Heart Association.
For the People.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cash Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have two guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. Tuesday, February 14th, Valentine's Day. We'll talk about that later on in the show. One of the most commercialized holidays, but fun for a lot of people. Some events you can get out to tonight if you're still looking for plans and more. We'll have updates on the legislative session. Some hints, at least, from Senate leadership today on where the tax cuts that have been promised might be going or might be headed, and more audio of today's media briefing later on in the show. We're kicking things off here, though, today with a very special guest. Our first check-in with Representative Snider. Representative Casey Snider represents a House district here in Cache Valley, roughly the south end of the valley, and it is, to say the least, a extremely busy time in the legislative session as they rounded that halfway point earlier and now head into the final stretch. The pace starts to pick up. So, Representative Snider, I appreciate you taking some time for us in what I'm sure is not a laid-back afternoon for you. But here you are to update our listeners on how things are going and how are things going?
Well, it's good. Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to be on here and have a conversation. The longer I'm at the legislature, the more I miss Cache Valley. I'll just say it.
45 days is a long time.
Yeah, and absence makes the heart grow fonder. I miss the valley by the time we're done here, but we are in the throngs of it right now. It is busy time, and the closer the nice thing about having a 45-day session is you're only here for 45 days. The bad thing about a 45-day session is the closer you get to number 45, the greater the intensity, because with every passing moment, it is the sound of bills dying on the last night. So
that's right. As that clock ticks down, and those that don't get put on the calendar before midnight just don't get a vote. And yeah, it's the pace of the legislative session this year seems pretty steady to me. Y'all kick things off in that first week and got right to work, and it's just kind of held up through then. But, water, of course, dominating a lot of the discussions, the Great Salt Lake, taxes, also some lengthy discussions over, the surplus and where the money is going to go, if anywhere at all. And behind all of that, all these, and controversial issues that have gotten a lot of headlines and more that will come, behind all of that, Cache Valley lawmakers have, yourself included, Representative Snider, just kind of plugging along and doing, looking over the list of bills you've sponsored here. And for listeners, you can do that yourself at le.utah.gov. These are not bills that are going to get headlines. These are not bills that are going to, end up on the front page of a newspaper or even here in our news cycle. These are sort of workhorse bills. That's what you're known for, right?
Well, that's what I try to do. I came here to do a job. Hopefully, it's what folks see in my end product is what they sent me here for. I don't tend to be flashy, but I think it's small, substantive, incremental things that help us move towards a better future. I've been doing a lot of things in the water space, a few just nuanced changes in my bills, but that's just kind of how we work here. I will say our delegation, as you already mentioned, is kind of known for that. But I want to put a bright light on a couple of things that I've seen this session. Representative Peterson, for example, weighed into what is probably one of the most controversial issues in the country right now, especially on the heels of everything else that's going on, specifically wrapped around conversion therapy, right, and the ability for someone to discuss, whatever is on their mind with a therapist. And I want you to know I've seen Mike navigate an incredibly difficult, complex issue and land it in a way that makes the most staunch conservatives and also the LGBTQ community say, okay, this is good policy. What he's done in that space is remarkable. And then you look at, someone like Dan Johnson. When Dan Johnson talks about an education bill, because he's held in such high regard, people listen. And I've seen Dan do some pretty remarkable things with education this session. So, I kind of carve out my little land, water, ag space, but as a whole, I would say on the House side, which is where I'm most familiar being in the House, we try and do a lot of good for Cache County, and it's being noticed. Sure. Senators do their thing too, but us, they're doing a fine job as well. But the House specifically, having watched it this session, is doing a fabulous job.
I appreciate you highlighting the work of your colleagues there from Cache County, and I know you're too humble to really put a spotlight on your own work, but I have to say, knowing the legislature, and I don't mean this as a criticism per se of the legislature at whole, but just knowing that the Salt Lake and Wasatch Front and Utah County areas sometimes just dominate. They have more representatives, more voices. I was really excited during that Water Week press conference to see you and Senator Sandel there with all of the other Salt Lake City area, that more populous area of the state represented with so many voices. To see you, Representative, and Senator Sandel there, it's reassuring because it says, as we move forward with a great goal of trying to rescue the Great Salt Lake, there aren't going to be unintended consequences that walk all over satellite communities and rural areas, because that's your stomping ground, right? That's where you are the expert. And what's it been like to have your voice and experience included in those discussions?
It's been a true honor to be part of the discussion. And when I look at Cache County, as it relates to Great Salt Lake, for example, 60% of the inflow into Great Salt Lake comes out of the Bear River. And
Sure.
the Bear River is the lifeblood of our entire community. It doesn't matter if you're on the north end or south end, where I am, or on the north end. Every drop of water that flows through Cache County ends up in the Bear by virtue of the Great Salt Lake. And so being able to articulate that there are communities that still have needs and balance those against significant ecological needs and potential crisis that we're trying to avoid has been a real honor for me this session. And what I hope is happening is, I'm able to advocate for Cache County, but look globally. And at the end of the day, I'm going to make sure I'm taking care of my friends and neighbors in our community, but also come to a place it's a reasonable position. And Senator Sandel and I have been included in all those discussions, and I'm confident we'll have good outcomes.
It really is encouraging, because I know, again, not meaning to disparage any other lawmakers, if there is any stomping on Cache Valley as we move through all of this, which is going to take years, it will be an oversight. It will be an unnoticed, unintended consequence. So having you both there as part of this, I think is so important, and also knowing that I spoke with members of our water district as well. They were very happy to see you both included in the conversation. That obviously is one of the biggest issues, and again, that's going to be a multi-year, multi-prong approach, not something solved this session. But there are some things that can be solved in a single session, and I know this is one that at least one city here in Cache Valley is very excited about. But I was also excited to see your House Bill 51 railroad right-of-way amendments passed with, basically as close to unanimous as the House usually gets, right?
Yeah.
And that
the one lawmaker that voted no is from southern Utah and doesn't have the pleasure or otherwise of dealing with Union Pacific every day. So
sure.
He doesn't know what he's missing out on.
That's right. That was.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. We are. It is so frustrating for me, and probably even more so for folks on Logan, to be stuck on 14th. It's just crazy. It's asinine.
Sure.
And I'm optimistic we're going to come to some resolution. The bill in and of itself has pushed the issue far enough that, I'll be darned, we got a signed agreement with the railroad and Logan City at this point. So that they're going to move to construction and make something happen. But in the future, as we grow, hopefully my bill will make it so that we don't end up in this logjam, this stalemate, and can just step out and solve an intersection rather than put the whole community in some sort of bureaucratic morass.
Sure. Which is, held Logan City up on what is a great plan for that intersection, and ironically made the intersection more dangerous, having to wait on the railroad. Where does this head next? The bill's sitting in the Senate awaiting a calendar date and a committee and floor vote. If it passes, it's signed by the governor, which I'm guessing will be the case. What happens next in all of this?
So on that issue in particular, like I said, I think us having this discussion in the way that we have has hopefully facilitated resolution. Like I said, Logan City, as I understand it, has a signed agreement with the railroad to move forward on that. But my bill hopefully will have a transportation hearing, like you say, get signed by the governor, and then create a process where if there is a conflict place, whether it's a crossing or even something as simple as a utility line going under or over a railroad, we know the process now whereby a municipality can assess, for lack of a better term, the railroad to help mitigate a crossing or whatever and move forward. So I'm confident we fix this problem for the long term, and I'm optimistic we'll make it all the way across the line with the governor's signature.
That is, fingers crossed on that one. Representative Snider, you also have a bill that is, it does a lot of things, and I apologize for oversimplifying it, but I thought this was great because this is the example, I think, of what is most likely happening each day during the legislative session. When people see, 1,200 bill files or 1,600 bill files, everybody panics. And you hear a lot of people say, oh, all these new laws every session. This is an example of why that is not the case. You have a bill, a fire amendments bill, that is, among many things, one of the things that it does, it literally says when the state forester issues a proclamation to change open or closed season for certain types of burning, get that on the website. Don't just post it. It can't just be posted at the county courthouse. It needs to be online. It needs to be more readily available. And that's a very simple change. It's not a new law. It's literally just saying, that we should be doing this. And that bill also, we should note, passed the House with a resounding thumbs up.
Yeah, that bill, and there's some other provisions in there, are just incremental adjustments as we move forward through the policy process. And frankly, there are provisions in that bill that were influenced and in some cases drafted verbatim, for example, by our Cache County fire wardens and our Cache County fire chief. So it's a state policy based on good ideas, not just at the legislature, where honestly I don't think there are very many good ideas, but we took regular ideas of local people and made it a law to the benefit of everyone. And that's just one more example.
That is along those lines, and I know we've promised not to take too much of your time because work still continues there today on Capitol Hill. But are there any bills, coming from other lawmakers that you're keeping a close eye on? Maybe something that you are that you plan to speak against, or that you've been working with the sponsor to try and change, something that you've kept an eye on with another lawmaker's name on it?
Well, one of the things that's been unique for me this legislative session is, so I was put in place by the Speaker as the Rules Chair of this legislative session.
Yes.
So I get the opportunity to look at every bill. There are people in this world that would insinuate that we don't read every bill. I can tell you with a surety, I have read every bill this legislative session. That is my job, and because I read it, and then I decide whether it goes or whether it stays, and all of those pieces. Obviously, more acting as traffic cop than policy decider, but
sure.
I would say the things that I'm most interested as we move forward is the tax bill. I ran the tax bill last legislative session, which provided the tax cut. I think we're looking at something in that space again this session. But in full transparency here, we want to give people back as much money as we can, because they've earned it. But we are looking at a future that makes us a little nervous in terms of what the economic outlook's going to be. So
sure.
I'm looking forward to giving people back their taxes, but hopefully we're being responsible with our funds as well.
You've also this session been a very vocal voice for agriculture, and I've appreciated that as well. In fact, you had some direct influence on some of the surplus money that will be spent. There was talk of putting it towards agriculture as far as increasing certain granting processes for updating irrigation technology and more. And you've been able to better inform some of those pieces of legislation, right?
Yeah, and the nice thing on that in particular is, again, this is all a team sport down here. So Senator Sandel is going to be running a couple of bills that are instrumental in that space, some of them dealing with the optimization of our agricultural water. I'll be the House sponsor over here on this side, but we're trying to make targeted investments that allow for a balance in terms of what we have in our water supply, what we can provide for producers, and hopefully do good with the public's money. But there's a lot of stuff coming down that pipe, and you'll probably see the legislature make historic investments in water, and a lot of that's going to be tied to Senator Sandel's bill that we'll all be working through this session. So a lot of good things, a lot of hopefully beneficial things in the long run. As I said, it's been a true honor to be here, and hopefully we're doing Cache County proud down here.
So far, so good. And again, it's encouraging to see, you're part of water discussions, agricultural discussions, and more. And for listeners, if you'd like to see more about the committees or specific legislation sponsored by our guest, Representative Casey Snider, you can do so at le.utah.gov. You can also watch and listen to committee hearings. You can, past and current, see schedules for when bills will be heard and more. Check it out, le.utah.gov, kind of a one-stop shop for all things legislative session. Our guest again has been Representative Casey Snider, Republican representing District 5, the south end of the valley roughly. And Representative Snider, always a pleasure to have you here on the show, and thanks for the update.
No, thanks for the opportunity. Let's keep in touch. Maybe we get a chance to talk again when it gets really exciting, like the last week.
Absolutely. We'll check in that last week and see if anyone's gouged out their ears yet, right?
Exactly. Hold on your wall. The
That's right.
Legislature's still in session.
That's right. And big tax cut debate still coming, too. We'll see how that one goes. And Representative Snider, a pleasure to have you join us here, and thanks so much for your time today.
All right. Likewise. Take care.
For listeners, a quick reminder as well, the Cache County Republican Party hosting a legislative town hall Thursday. That's the traditional day. Last week, they did it one day early, but that is not going to be the case most weeks. So it will take place on Thursday, which means you need to get your questions in to Cache County Republican Party Chair Shelley Giddings by Thursday morning. There's a form on the Cache County Republican Party Facebook page and cashgop.com where you can submit your questions. They try their best to answer every question. Again, these aren't happening live this year, but I'm actually glad they're doing that because recording them and then upping the video with your questions as the content has allowed them to get every single lawmaker involved in every town hall every week. It's been great, and you can watch them anytime once they're uploaded to the Cache GOP YouTube channel. So get your questions in before Thursday morning via the form that you can fill out via the Cache Republican Party Facebook page. It's linked there, and also a link standing right now on cashgop.com. These are open to everyone. They're hosted by the Cache Republican Party, but they are nonpartisan town halls with just a spotlight on each and every lawmaker and what they're working on. Thanks again to Representative Snider for his time today. On the other side of the news at the bottom of the hour, or we are at the bottom of the hour, running long here, we'll actually talk a little bit about what Representative Dan Johnson is working on. Unfortunately, a timely bill with yet another school shooting taking place last night, and horrifying news today that one of the students who was forced to shelter in place during this active shooter event at a Michigan university was a Sandy Hook survivor. Yes, it is her second survival of a school shooting. That's leading to a lot of discussion. And Representative Dan Johnson has a bill right here in Utah this session up for debate on standardizing our active shooter training in schools. We'll talk about that. We'll be back right after this.
At Wheatland Seed, we've helped families prepare for the days ahead by providing fresh, locally grown food storage products. Our spring sale is in progress, with sale prices on premium baking wheats, just $24.99 for 26 pounds. Or pinto beans, just $39.99 for 21 pounds. Order today for home delivery or local pickup at wheatlandseed.com. That's wheatlandseed.com.
I'm Larry Gelwicks, the getaway guru for Morris Columbus Travel and Royal Caribbean Cruise Line with the biggest cruise promotion of the year with huge discounts off your cruise fare and free amenities. Sail the 7 seas with Royal Caribbean and Morris Columbus Travel. And for the best travel deals on the planet, give us a call at Morris Columbus Travel.
Come on and get away, Morris Columbus.
Welcome to the new year and happy winter driving. As the weather outside gets colder, it's more important than ever to have a reliable vehicle to get you around safely. That's where Murdoch Volkswagen comes in with the Drive at Home sales event. Right now, receive 3.9% for 3 years on Volkswagen's award-winning SUV lineup. When you walk through our doors, you feel like family. At Murdoch Volkswagen in Logan or online at murdochvw.com.
Call 866-628-3065 or see dealer for complete details. Offer expires 2/28/23.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Speaking of schools, just a bit of an announcement. Logan Schools Superintendent Frank Schofield will be with us on Thursday's show and give us a just past the midway point look at the legislative session from a school district's perspective. What's worrying them? What's exciting them? I'll spoil it a little bit. There's more worrying them than there is exciting them. And that seems to be a theme, unfortunately, of this legislative session. But Frank Schofield will be with us on Thursday at 5 o'clock. We just heard from Representative Casey Snider on some of the bills he's sponsoring. On the other side of the news, a presentation by Representative Dan Johnson made on one of his bills that, unfortunately, is very timely. After news last night of yet another active shooter event with three dead, 5 injured. Thankfully, that was all, but still 3 dead from an active shooter event on a campus, college campus in Michigan. And today, making the rounds in the news, one of the students, Michigan students there, who was sheltering in place, hiding from the gunman, was a survivor of Sandy Hook. As a child, she'd sheltered in place as, tens of her classmates, elementary school kids, were gunned down. It really just kind of drives home the situation we're in. Regardless of what you see as a proposed solution, or maybe you see no solutions available, you can't really see news like that and deny the reality any longer. And also just recognizing this doesn't happen as frequently or as intensely elsewhere in the world. We've got to do something different. Representative Dan Johnson has a bill here in Utah that he thinks will help. Critics have said this is more of a sad statement on where we're at, that this is the only type of bill that might pass the legislature. Johnson has defended the bill, saying whether you feel like it's enough or not, it's a step that needs to be taken when it comes to school safety and the potential of a gunman on elementary school campuses here in Utah. Johnson's presentation and some of the back and forth from the committee over the school safety bill he's sponsoring this year, right after these headlines with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 4:37. The news brought to you by Roof Rescue. UDOT on Monday announced plans to install a new system to reduce the number of wrong-way drivers on Utah freeways. The new system, one of the most advanced wrong-way driver detection and warning systems in the country, will help improve safety by alerting drivers who are going the wrong way and by speeding up the process for alerting the Utah Highway Patrol and UDOT when a wrong-way driver is detected. UDOT installed this detection warning and alert system last fall on the northbound off-ramp from Legacy Parkway at the I-15 Park Lane US 89 interchange in Farmington and has been testing it for several months. During that time, it has detected and alerted 23 wrong-way drivers, all of whom turned around. Last week, the Utah Transportation Commission approved a funding request for $2.5 million to install these cameras and signs at 20 additional locations. Most of the locations are along I-15 in Salt Lake City. A 19-year-old Burley, Idaho man has been ordered to spend 1 year in jail for driving to a Logan Park to have sex with an undercover police officer posing as a 13-year-old girl. Tyson D. Smith, who has been in the Cache County Jail since July, will spend 4.5 more months behind bars. Smith was sentenced Monday morning in First District Court. He previously pleaded guilty to 5 counts of enticing a minor by internet or text, a second-degree felony. In June 2022, Smith began messaging a Logan City police officer posing as a young girl. He gave law enforcement his name and phone number and then began talking about meeting in a store parking lot to engage in sexual activities in his car. As the messages continued, Smith said he lived in Idaho. He repeatedly described graphic details about what he wanted to do with the undercover officer. On July 1st, Smith began telling law enforcement he wanted to meet but desired to talk on the phone first. A female employee at the police department called and talked to the defendant. He said he was stopping to buy condoms and arranged to meet at a park a short time later. Smith later showed up at the park where law enforcement was waiting and was taken into custody. And Jordan Clarkson and Lauri Markkanen each scored 29 points, and the Utah Jazz beat the Indiana Pacers 123-117 last night in Indianapolis. Clarkson hit a three-pointer for a 115-110 lead with 2:03 remaining, and added a 13-foot baseline jumper to extend the lead to 117-113 in the final minute. Markkanen sealed the win with 4 free throws in the final 14.2 seconds. Utah State Aggie men's basketball tonight in the Spectrum. Air Force in town to face Utah State, coming off their loss at San Jose State on Saturday night. Al Lewis will preview the game at straight up 6 o'clock tonight on KBNU. News time is 4:40.
This is David from Roof Rescue. A roof is not something most people think about until they notice a leak on the ceiling. This time of year, fluctuation in temperatures, along with rain, snow, and ice, can do a number on your roof. If you notice these leaks, they won't go away on their own and are oftentimes a sign that the roof has reached the beginning of the end of its life. Call Roof Rescue for a free analysis, diagnosis, and estimate. Let's fix those leaks and keep you dry this winter. Call 435-999-4268 or visit roofrescueusa.com. Roof Rescue, providing watertight peace of mind.
KBNU weather for tonight. Mostly cloudy skies, 30% chance of snow this evening, low 0 to 5 above. Wind chill warning in effect from 10 o'clock this evening to 10 o'clock Wednesday morning. Wind chills could feel as low as 10 below zero in the Cache Valley tonight. Partly cloudy, then clearing on Wednesday, high temperature around 20. All the way to 29 today. It's 24 right now at KBNU. Picked up about a half an inch of snow, 2/100ths of an inch of water in that snow that fell earlier today. Weather brought to you by Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology, Cache Valley's most trusted name in hearing aid technology. Call 753-HEAR, 753-HEAR. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com. Let's check Wall Street now with Edward Jones.
This is Cheryl, bringing you the daily financial market report on behalf of Jeff Olson and Edward Jones. Markets mixed after inflation report. Markets paired early losses to finish the day mixed after a CPI report showed inflation higher than expectations in January, showing only a small year-over-year decline from December. Treasury prices are lower, with yields higher as fixed income investors price in higher for longer rates as inflation proves stickier than hoped. The price of oil dipped after the U.S. Department of Energy announced another release from the Strategic Reserve, adding supply to the markets. The Baker Hughes rig count also showed U.S. and Canadian rig counts on an upward trajectory. European and Asian markets were mixed following the U.S. CPI report. Wages in the European region saw an unexpected rise, prompting further inflationary concerns. The Dow closed down 156 points at 34,090. The Nasdaq closed up 68 points at 11,960. The S&P 500 closed down 1 point at 4,136. And in the bond market, 10-year Treasury yields are trading at 3.76%, higher by 0.04 percentage points. In stocks of local interest, Nucor closed up 3.65 at 171.26. Thermo Fisher closed down 3.52 to 571.48. Chevron closed up 1.31 to 172.32. Procter & Gamble closed down 0.79 to 139.28. Northrop Grumman closed up 3.23 to 467.51. Amazon closed at 0.16 to 99.70. This has been today's financial market report, brought to you on behalf of Edward Jones, member SIPC, and financial advisor Jeff Olson, serving individual investors with personalized attention and financial advice at 580 North Main in Logan. If you would like additional information, please contact our office at 435-787-8170. Daily commentary is also located on our website at edwardjones.com.
Jessup Insurance invites you to attend a friendly, no-cost educational Medicare meeting Wednesday, February 15th. Jessup Insurance will answer any questions and simplify the entire Medicare process, all while enjoying a yummy dessert. Wednesday, 7 p.m., February 15th at Jessup Insurance. Call 213-3200 for more information or stop by 530 West, 465 North in Providence. Wednesday, February 15th.
Jessup Insurance and Retirement Services. Let us guide you.
Nothing feels better. Nothing is more relaxing than a massage. A deep tissue or a relaxing Swedish massage from Academy Massage at the Sports Academy. Buy your sweetie a massage and get a 10% discount through Valentine's Day. Relax, rejuvenate, and revitalize yourself with a massage for both of you. 10% off all massages through Valentine's Day at the Sports Academy. This offer valid for members and non-members. The Sports Academy. Your club, your results, your life.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Sticking with our highlights from the legislative session. In hour two, we'll talk about what specifically happened today, an update from state Senate leaders giving us at least a few more clues on whether or not, and if so, what type of tax cut we might be seeing. It's been promised headed into the legislative session, but the details have been slim and people are starting to get nervous. But I wanted to highlight this bill because, unfortunately, it is once again timely. This is a bill sponsored by Cache Valley Representative Dan Johnson, who represents the 4th District, roughly the Logan City area is a way to think about it. It's sponsored in the Senate, floor sponsored in the Senate by Senator Chris Wilson, representing most of Cache Valley as well. And it's timely because it deals with active threats in schools. And with the news last night of yet another school shooting in Michigan, and then the news this morning that I haven't been able to shake this, but one of the students on this Michigan campus where this active shooter event took place last night and took several lives, one of the students who was sheltering in place, hiding from the gunman on this Michigan campus last night, was a survivor of Sandy Hook. So this is the second time this young woman has had to hide under a desk hoping the gunman wouldn't find her in the classroom. Second time for this individual, a Sandy Hook survivor, now a Michigan student in college. I don't know what else to add to that. If that doesn't bother you, I don't know what would. Representative Dan Johnson has a bill to deal with active shooter training protocol in Utah. Critics have lambasted the bill, saying this is really the best we can do. Johnson has defended the bill, saying, "Look, it might not be enough for everyone, but it is a step in a better direction." The bill is simple, but I'll let Representative Johnson explain it himself, as he did in a presentation recently for House Bill 140, Standard Response Protocol to Active Threats in Schools, regarding how we're training those who are first responders in these situations. And then you'll hear some commentary from the Utah Department of Education representative, and then discussion from other Republicans on the committee where this was presented. First up here, though, Representative Johnson explaining the bill.
This year that pertain to school safety. So I'm really thankful that you have the ears to hear and what this is about. And I'm thankful for the State Board of Education, USBE, being here today to talk about things if you have some questions. One of the things that I think is really important about what's happening is where do we start? And I think one of the first places that we start is just with the kind of drills that we require for training in schools. And so this bill really just identifies that, and it is going to clarify a little bit of thing in code, make a few requirements in terms of monthly drills, and then make sure that our State Department of Education is, positioned to use their team to help school districts get the kind of training that they need. So we talk about school districts, individual schools, charter schools, everyone like that is included in it. So just a couple of real quick pieces about the standard response protocol to active threats. I think all of us do not want to ever have to face the situation where the active threat is an active shooter. And we have to be really, really careful, in my opinion, about using those kinds of words around young children. So I want to make sure that when we require training for a kid that's 5 or 6 years old, that we know how to do it, and we use developmentally appropriate language for that training. That training for a child in kindergarten or first grade will be spoken to those children differently than you would with somebody who's a junior or senior. And I think you all understand the idea about having training is not to scare people, and I think it's really important that we understand that these kids are going to school. They need to be welcomed and loved and protected, and so I feel like this: you're going to make mistakes if you're not trained. And the more training that we do, and with repetition, I think will make a big difference over time in terms of how we are prepared. And that idea, among all the other bills that are being promoted through this session, I think are going to make a big difference. So just in general, HB 140 is a standard response protocol for active threats. It requires our State Board of Education to modify code to require monthly drills for active threats in schools. That doesn't currently exist around active threats, just fire drills and then choices of drills. And so this kind of just makes it a little more common and more practice. And then, as I mentioned to you, it addresses the need for accommodating young, impressionable young kids using the right kind of language for those drills. So that really is the main thing. I'd like to turn some time to Chantel Cota. She was here before, introduced herself, in charge of school safety. And I would say this: now I worked for 50 years in schools and almost 4 decades here in Utah. And practicing these things, teaching people what they need to know. It is just baseline practice. And I've always appreciated our State Department of Education for all the help that they give us, the follow-up they'd always given us. And I think we're just moving into an era where we need to make a bit of a change in what we require and how we require the drill. Chantal?
Yes, thank you again. Chantal Cota, Coordinator of Safe and Healthy Schools for Utah State Board of Education. Really want to thank Representative Johnson for all the work that he's done on this. And while the USBE has not taken an official position, happy to expand upon standard response protocols or any work that the School Safety Center has been doing in that. Just to really kind of add on to what Representative Johnson had mentioned, this bill would codify and expand upon existing administrative rules, which includes R277400 related to the required emergency drills. The proposition that he makes is that we would move away from language that would be threatening to students and is more developmentally appropriate for emergency response training.
Anyone else here in person on this one? Online, do we have any? Okay. Turn to the committee for discussion or action. Okay. Representative Hollins.
Thank you. I just think I'll be remiss if I didn't say that this bill makes me sad. It's so sad that we have gotten to the point in our world and in our state that we have to require monthly shooting drills for our babies. And it just does something to me, and it breaks my heart. And I think it's more of an argument of why we need mental health in our schools, because they're already affected. And I'm hearing from the teachers the mental health concerns they have for their kids, and then we're adding this on it. But I'm going to vote for it, but I must say that it's one of the saddest bills that I've ever had to vote for.
That was, again, testimony and committee discussion over Senator Dan Johnson's, Representative Dan Johnson's House Bill 140. Unfortunately, timely. Again, the bill has passed the House and is awaiting appointment to a Senate calendar. Has passed a House committee and is awaiting appointment to a House calendar. It's currently scheduled for a third reading calendar date as of today. So probably sometime this week this will get an actual House floor debate. I agree with Representative Hollins there at the end. This is a good bill. What Representative Johnson is doing is important, and would probably save lives in an active shooter situation at an elementary school, for example. But it really is kind of a slap in the face on where we're at, because this bill, one, would train teachers and first responders and those who would be conducting these monthly active shooter trainings at schools throughout Utah to do it in a way that wouldn't, pre-traumatize kindergartners or first graders. We're at a point in this country, in this state, where that is necessary. We have to talk about how we're going to train kids to survive an active shooter with an AR-15 kicking in the classroom door. And we're talking about how to do it in a way that doesn't where the training itself every month at schools throughout Utah is not traumatizing kids. That's where we're at as a state, as a country. Is this who we are? I don't know. Again, hoping Representative Johnson's bill passes, standardizing the training, monthly trainings, just like they do with fire drills and more, all of this important stuff. But we're at a point where we're talking about how the training needs to not say things like shooter, even though that's what we're training them on, how to escape, how to survive. When we're talking to first graders, second graders, maybe we don't say the word shooter. Maybe we say something like active threat instead. It's just, speechless. We'll be back right after this.
Today is Valentine's Day. Guys, consider the gift of jewelry, and with any purchase of $149 or more, you'll receive roses, chocolates, and dinner for two. That's right, all this is free with any jewelry purchase of $149. Choose from a large selection of colorful gemstones, pearls, sterling silver, or even diamond earrings. Again, roses, chocolates, and dinner for two with any purchase of $149. For the occasions and people that matter most. S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
What's more important than sleep? Granted, some things are, but not many. This is Ryan at My Mattress, and here we offer the best solution to better sleep, a better mattress. IntelliBed, the gel mattress, cradles your hips and shoulders while providing the best back support possible. Or come in and choose a Tempur-Pedic that boasts 93% of their owners love their bed. My Mattress, offering the best sleep possible by the South Walmart.
Now that the holidays are over, are you feeling the need to declutter and get that stale, closed-up smell out of your home? You should have your air ducts cleaned by the Duct Hunter. The dust that accumulates over time can appear as surface dust and can cause your home to smell musty and dusty. Call the Duct Hunter at 770-4813.
We are the Duct Hunter. Breathe better, save money, protect your home. We are the Duct Hunter.
Hi,
Hi, this is Erica Hansen, owner of the Red Fox located on historic Center Street. Meet us in downtown Logan and we'll help you plan your favorite Valentine's Day celebration with those you love. In downtown Logan, you'll find great promotions on all the best Valentine's gifts, special dining experiences, and romantic getaways. From all of us in downtown Logan, we wish you all the best this Valentine's Day.
Meet me in downtown Logan.
That's hour one in the can. Coming up in hour two, a kickoff event for Cache Valley Relay for Life. They're hosting a Dancing with the Stars event to benefit the American Cancer Society, working with local dance studios and performers and creating an event for you to get out and have some fun for a good cause. They'll be joining us later.